even a bad experience becomes a notch on your belt. It becomes something that you remember, and you learn. You learn a lot from it.
Julie Taymor, you're a director who moves between theater and movies seamlessly. You have a new movie out right now called The Glorias, about Gloria Steinem.
You're Gloria Steinem.
I am.
How did you get here?
Oh, well, I had great parents. That helps. Truly, I have an amazing. Even the Glorias is dedicated to my mother, because she was really ahead of the times. She's 99 now, and she's one of the early women in politics. And I went into the arts, but watching my mother, I'm the youngest of three, and she let me do what I wanted to do in my life, and really I went off to Asia when I was 13, 14 at the Experiment in International Living. I went to Sri Lanka, which was Ceylon. Then later, after I graduated Oberlin, like Gloria did, I went to Indonesia. She went to India, and I went to Indonesia on a fellowship, traveling fellowship that was supposed to be a year in Eastern Europe, Indonesia, and Japan. And I ended up staying 4 years in Indonesia. Had my own theater company, of Javanese, Balinese, Sundanese masked dancers, musicians, actors, puppeteers. We toured all through Indonesia, Java, Sumatra, Bali, and then I just continued on in theater when I came back to New York.
That sounds so unusual for parents to be like, why don't you just at 15 go to Sri Lanka?
Look, I'll tell you even earlier. I grew up in the suburbs of Boston. I was always doing theater just naturally, in the backyard, in the garage. My mom gave me a big box of play clothes. I didn't watch that much television. We didn't, we saw I Love Lucy and a couple of other great things. But I was really with my older sister and my brother, and my neighbors, we would put on plays. We'd do, dress up. And I joined the Boston Children's Theater when I was 9 years old. So I actually went downtown on the T every day after school by myself. It's a different time. Think about that. I was traveling out of my quote comfort zone, out of that womb of what you know to the place you don't know at a very young age, and that's how I thrive. I did study acting in New York, and I did act professionally, but I didn't like it because you don't get to control your own life. And I had stories to tell. And I was a very pretty ingenue, and I felt now I'd probably like it because I could be a character actress. But back then, the parts were so boring and trivial, and who needs it? So becoming a theater maker, which is what I would call myself in the theater, and I'm a film maker in film.
I have to ask about what everyone knows about you, which is The Lion King
yes.
on Broadway. Because I think most Americans have at least seen that, or they've seen it at Disney World, frankly. There's adaptations of it there. Right. Is it true that you hadn't even seen the movie when they approached you to do a Broadway show?
Yeah. I hadn't. I knew Tom Schumacher, not well, not at all, but he was aware of my theater work, and I'd won Obie Awards and, had nominated for Tonys and this kind of thing. So I said, send me the movie, send me the cartoon. I probably called it a cartoon, and he probably laughed. I think the thing was that the aesthetic, you know what I mean? The aesthetic look, the airbrushed, big-eyed, cartoony things. I didn't gravitate towards the aesthetic, but the stories, the myths, the folk tales, the folklore, not shying away from stories that were dark, like The Lion King has the death of the father. Bambi has, we all were traumatized by Bambi, for God's sake.
How did you invent that world?
Well, I was, since I was a kid, I was a visual artist as well, meaning I wouldn't call myself that, but I had clay. I would sculpt. I would make things. I had, I didn't play with dolls, but I did have puppets. And if you're doing The Lion King and you're telling a completely animal tale and there's 400 animals and herds and stampedes, you've got to find a way to visualize it.
You love a challenge, don't you?
Oh, God, yes.
Critics haven't always been kind. From the outside looking in, it looks like Spider-Man was probably a hard time for you.
There's a prime example of we didn't get to finish the work. I still think it had tremendous potential, as many people who saw it did, and yet people lost their courage to first of all, the whole critic, it was a storm. It was that kind of perfect thing to tear down. It was. And being a woman, Gloria, actually, I didn't even know Gloria at the time. She called me up. She saw the version that I had been working on, and she thought it was brilliant.
In all of that, Gloria Steinem reached out to you.
Yes. She reached out because she just saw the show. She didn't know about all of the storm around it. She loved what I had done. She thought it was brilliant. And then I told her, and she totally got it. I have blinders on when I work. I don't see that the misogyny or the play or the game. Now I see it. Even a bad experience becomes a notch on your belt. It becomes something that you remember and you learn. You learn a lot from it.
I wondered whether there was that link between that period and Gloria Steinem, and it's very direct. She comes into your life.
She did, yes.
At that point. How did you decide to do the movie, The Glorias?
One of my best friends gave me her book, My Life on the Road. And, I just read it. I was on the beach in Tulum. When I read it, I didn't think it would make a good movie. I actually thought, it's not linear. It's a road book, meaning it's all over the map. It moves around. It's 80 years of her life. It's very unwieldy in a normal sense. It's not a drama, but I could not get it out of my mind. I loved the taxi rides. I loved all the different elements, but how to bring this unwieldy thing was very difficult. I called Gloria and she said, "Are you out of your mind? This is impossible. But I love your work, so if you want to try, go ahead." So she gave us the rights, the permission and the rights. And I had to come up with what I call the bus out of time.
Why didn't I object? Get out and slam the door.
You will, lots of times. Speaking your mind will get you in deep trouble.
You come up with this device where they're all it's all of Gloria Steinem across her life,
yes.
Right? So you have 4 actors playing different stages of her life, and they're all on this bus together. How did you come up, and it's a constant thread through the whole film, how did you come up with that idea?
Well, this is the way that I work on all my shows. I look for what I call an ideograph. You look at the whole book or the whole play. You say, how could I reduce that to one image? It's an abstraction. If I could boil it down. So The Glorias, it's a road picture. It's a road picture. The road. She doesn't go in private cars. She goes on public transportation. The bus. What bus? The Greyhound bus. What is the epitome of travel? What is the most symbolic image of freedom and running away from home and joining with a group of people and crossing our beautiful country? It's the Greyhound bus. So when I came up with the idea of what I call the bus out of time, the reason it's out of time is because, of course, the 6-year-old Gloria, the 12-year-old, the 20 to 40, that's Alicia Vikander, and the 40 to 80, Julianne Moore, sometimes they're alone on the bus. Sometimes they're sitting next to each other. Sometimes they have conversations. And Gloria said to me when I told her the idea, she said, "How did you know?" And I said, "Know what?" She said, "That I often see myself across the street or across the room, my younger self, and I wonder if she knew what I knew now, what she would have done, or vice versa, and what will I be doing in 10 years from now?" So she said, I can't believe you got that.
What Dorothy and I have to say is too important not to say it.
This is the year of women's liberation.
Rapid fire questions. Weirdest thing about you?
God, weirdest thing? You tell me. I'm pretty content.
Your favorite show on Broadway that was not yours?
I didn't see it on Broadway, but when I saw Hamilton off Broadway, I loved it.
What's your favorite prop from The Lion King?
Oh, well, I like the cheetah the best. I like that it's attached to the body that way, and that the female form that's within the front and back of the cheetah is so beautiful to see. And I like that when the head moves, you move your head, it moves. I think as far as the combination of human and animal, it is the most successful.
Best advice you ever got?
Listen.
Worst advice you ever got?
Well, worst advice would probably be, just do it because it's commercial, or it'll be a big hit. That's the worst advice.